make sure that the process is followed through the way the state requires us to do it. So that's pretty straightforward. We're not prepared to make recommendations, let's go cut down all the ash trees or any of that sort of thing like some people try to do. So I think it's another problem we got to manage, and the goal in my view is to identify it as soon as you can, handle it as soon as you can, and spread your losses over time, because somewhere in that time period somebody might find a silver bullet with it. Yeah.
Is the treatment to prevent them? I understand that it does work.
There are people that sell those products, and the current one is what they call, it looks like, pronounced like triage, but if you look at it, it's like triage, It's one of those products that's treated every, you do the treatments every year, that sort of thing. I don't personally do that, recommend that. I think if people are concerned about it, want to try it, it's fine with me. I have not yet met anyone yet, though, that will bet everything they have that the treatment will get it if they use it. They think a lot of people think it's effective. A lot of people are marketing it. And one of the other things is,
It's like a diet pill.
yeah, it's like, well, ash trees when they get large and old are not the most desirable trees. They're kind of like the red oaks. They tend to get hollow. There's the problems and things like that. So, I mean, it's one of those investment decisions you have to make. But if you have a comfort level in using those products, fine. We don't generally use them. I wanted to make a couple comments about the resident consultation program we started last year. We had 11 requests received and scheduled. One was canceled and not rescheduled. I think, in my view on it, it was everything. I was at your neighbor's house. It was everything from how's my landscaping to one of my trees. So I think generally the response I got back from the people I thought was pretty good. So it's going to be our recommendation we continue that in 2010 and maybe advertise a little bit more on the website and things like that. I didn't get a request from Trustee Haber, and I was looking for that one, so I'm going to be expecting that.
You got it.
I know you need some help.
Let this serve as the request.
Okay. This I think is an interesting one. This is what I call the new tree planting initiative that I like to think about. And this is the goal of this initiative is to kind of increase the overall tree canopy, and that in the village. It's not necessarily for woodland restoration or regeneration, that sort of thing. And the reason I wanted to talk about this was I think it's important for all the residents to be able to participate in these grant programs, whether they have woodlands or not. So what I was suggesting, and Cheryl and we had made some comments on the very, some additions there, but this is basically what I had started off with. And those comments really related to explaining the plant list a little bit. So I just focused initially on trees, and I used the example of an oak tree. It's my feeling that any residential property owner could apply for this, for example. And I thought that maybe the village could accept any request at the village hall or at the plant sale. And then what we would do is we take a look at that. We put together a request form for that so we get all the information we need. And my feeling was we'd review it, make sure the species that people selected were appropriate for where they wanted to plant it and those kinds of things. And then upon approval of the request, the village could invoice the resident for their cost share, if you will. Once the cost share is received, we put it in the order thing. This was, for the oak trees, we intended it to be a fall planting. And my recommendation was to try to work through possibility place first, because I think we've been pretty successful with his plants. And basically when I started this, I talked to Connor Shaw, and he had told me that for his 1.5-inch plants, similar to the ones that are out here, that he could put together a program to plant it, to mulch it, to fence it, and to guarantee it for a year for $240 a tree. So the residence cost would be half of that. Okay, so I based the plan on a 50-50 cost share with an exposure for each half of that is $600. So the total for a resident could say, I want to plant 5 of these oak trees. That'd be $1,200, and then the village cost share would be $6. Their cost share would be $6. And that's kind of how we started the thought process. Conversations with Cheryl, and the mayor. Maybe we had some other plans. We kind of come up with a plant list and maybe expand that a little bit. But that's kind of the thought that we were looking at. Strictly, and I would hope that anybody could apply for it, but I would hope that people in Thorngate and other places could, that didn't have woodlands, for example, could. So that was, I thought it was a pretty interesting one. We've had sort of a decline, I think, in the request for buckthorn removal and garlic mustard removal, sorts of things. I think we We only had 3 or 4 of those this last year. So one of the things that we had talked about, and I put in here, was one of the difficulties we've always had with those programs is the fact that the contractors know the village is going to kick it up to $1,000. So we review all those things, and when we first did it, every one we looked at was at exactly $2,000. And then I looked at properties and I've said, to me, this looks like a $1,500 job with the proposal. Excuse me, it was $2,500. So we thought it might be worthwhile to think about establishing a village contractor to do this. We could pre-qualify the contractors. We could take bids on that, based on cost per acre, cost whatever it is, and hire a contractor to do it. We'd put together the qualifications and the bid documents and that. And so that way, we'd have consistency in it, because there's a lot of people that try to do this that really probably shouldn't. So it kind of, I think that would help the homeowners. So just a quick summary, some of the basic parameters. Currently, the requirement is to remove all the buckthorn on the site, and we look at the density between light, medium, and heavy. We identify the cost per acre by density categories. We did this when we did some of the village properties a few years ago. And that program currently provides for one respout herbicide application, and then we verify the work's done. What we're suggesting is a change based on some of these conversations is we remove all the buckthorn on the site. This is the same. Density is the same, light, medium, and heavy. Cost per acre by density category would be the same. But the cost share, we're looking at, to encourage more people to try to do this, is a 25-75. In other words, we'd still have like the same $2,000 sort of a look at it, but the resident would pay $500, the village would pay $1,500. Part of this expansion, this is based on the fact we've got a pretty good sizable fund.
We have about $240,000 in the fund.
Yeah, and the mayor wouldn't go for a golf outing, so we thought we'd ought to do this. So
Chuck, when you say the site, you mean the identified site within the lot?
yes.
When you say the site, it almost sounds like it's got to be the whole lot or not at all.
Well, it's whatever's on the lot.
Yeah, buckthorn, it is the whole lot.
For
That's not how it
example,
was when I used,
well, you were at the beginning, and we had people that, I mean, yours was fine, you did it more stated. We had people that wanted to spread over 5 years and 6 years.
but if you do the whole site, it could cost tens of thousands.
Could be. Well, that's one of the comments we want to get from you, if you want to do
It's
something.
almost like
If I can interject, one of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm doing this program right now, and so I'm trying to identify some of the potential problems or things that we might improve. And that was one of my comments that, well, on my property, it's not too bad, but, you could potentially have a property where it would cost you $10,000 to remove all the
it
buckthorn.
would cost me more than that.
Well, or more. And so,
Get to it.
we might want to look at some alternatives. So one of the things that
I did the front.
I would like to do, I'm going to submit some recommendations, but if you all have some recommendations as well, I can put those all together, and then we can work on revising the
Well, that's the
program.
purpose of why I wanted to do this now, so everybody could think about it more.
Chuck, are we sure that in all cases, the reason that the number of applications has gone down is cost? Or perhaps it could be that you're taking away dense cover that provides screening?
Well, some people want their buckthorn.
That's what I'm asking.
Right.
If we had an alternative for screening, that might,
Well, we do, because the third part of the program, this program is really in 3 parts. It's buckthorn removal, the whole basis of this, the state legislation at the time I helped to get that passed, to write it, was to let communities enter into long-term agreements for tree planting. Well, in a woodland community, you're wasting your time tree planting if you don't get rid of the invasives, for example. So that was our village attorney's creative approach to this, that said, let's make that part of the program. So the program is really 3 parts: buckthorn removal, garlic mustard removal, and tree planting. Okay, so let's just run through this, but that's going to get those ideas written down there and get your application in. We're going. But basically the idea was to shift the balance a little bit between the cost share elements. Now, and you kind of see some of these other things. So the same thing would apply here. Provide one respout herbicide treatment of the stumps in year 1, okay? Assuming that's the year that the thing was approved. As we normally do, we verify the work. And then